that is important, but not your principal subject matter. How is it going on the political side? Admiral?
Sir, I think our Pacific allies have been extremely circumspect, stoical, moving forward, treasuring the relationship and pragmatically working together towards solutions. And though our mill-to-mill relationships are always on an upward trajectory and are a counterweight to the peaks and valleys of political discourse, I credit our Indo-Pacific allies on their stoicism and their problem-solving approach.
Thank you. General?
Sir, I would say that by virtue of process alone and the procedures that we follow, they're intricately wound together, the two. I won't speak to the politics, but when you look at things like the Security Consultative Meeting, that goes to the Secretariat level where those meetings will take place, which involve us. Recent appointment of an ambassador to the Republic of Korea also helps. So the military allows us time and space for those other relationships to continue to develop and mature.
I'll just close by those political relationships are ultimately as important as the military. And so we should be paying attention to that as we go about our work. I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Tennessee, Dr. Desjardins.
Thank you, Chairman, and I appreciate all of our witnesses for being here today. Admiral Paparo, I would like to start with you. Based on the three incredibly and complex, successful operations recently carried out by the United States military, have you sensed any change in China's posture, behavior, and calculation in terms of risk associated with getting an engagement with the United States? And to put it more briefly, does this make them want to expedite or to delay?
Congressman, I think that the operational success achieved by the Joint Force has demonstrated capability and has enhanced the deterrence of the United States of America. And I think it's made the People's Republic of China more cautious moving forward through the demonstration of capability and will.
Thank you. And I think you and I share a common belief in the importance of space. You've mentioned it in your opening statement, and I couldn't agree more. But we all know that space and information superiority will be the key to winning the wars of the future. How can this committee work to ensure we have space dominance in light of our adversaries, China, Russia, North Korea, developing space and counterspace capabilities?
Congressman, cyber and space counterspace is the very first battle of any conflict, and it will be in the 21st century. That underpins the ability of a military to see, understand, decide, and act. And in fact, for China, we've seen the proliferation of their constellation over the last 6 years go from 250 to over 1,100 military satellites, including counterspace capabilities. So this is the #1 priority for United States Indo-Pacific Command is counter C5ISR&T, counterintelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and targeting. And the space portfolio is the #1 funding priority that's submitted in our 12XX, 13XX reports. And so I'm very grateful for the committee's work on that.
Thank you. General Brunson, as we're all aware, North Korea is continuing to develop and test new weapon systems, including the unveiling of a new submarine platform, escalating activity around their nuclear development sites, and of course Sunday's ballistic missile test. How have these test developments impacted your command?
Congressman, one of the ways that it's impacted the command is we're continuing to try to shore up our ability to see, sense, and understand as these launches happen. Over the past year, or really since January of 2025, there have been 61 total launches. 37 of those have been cruise missiles, and I believe 23 have been other ballistic forms that they've shot. And I would suffice it to say that what we're also trying to do is ensure that the trilateral cooperation in terms of integrated air and missile defense and ballistic missile defense is continuing to stay sharp. And so what we really want to try to do in the future, you heard Admiral Paparo mention C5ISR&T. That's both blue and green as we look at the red. And so what we want to do is try to ensure that these pathways that connect us together with our allies in the region are absolutely sound in the event that they become degraded over time.
Yeah, how concerned are you about the increased cooperation between North Korea, Russia, and China? We talk about the axis of evil. Iran seemed to be part of that. No one seems to be rushing too fast in their defense, but how has that also impacted your calculations?
It's impacted because it changes the capabilities that are resident within the primary adversary for U.S. Forces Korea today, and that's deterring DPRK. In close, I look forward to letting you know some of the things that we've discovered recently that give us great alarm in terms of the sharing of TTP across that salient that I spoke about earlier. Poor analogy with the Oreo, but that cookie that exists out there is absolutely dangerous to us right now, and it's continuing to develop in quick time.
Okay. I'll yield back, Chairman.
Ms. Strickland is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers and Ranking Member Smith, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today and your continued service. I represent Joint Base Lewis McChord, where forces like First Corps and the Multi-Domain Task Force are directly tied to the Indo-Pacific. The 2026 National Defense Strategy emphasizes deterrence by denial, but deterrence only works if it's credible in the near term, not just in future force design. So I want to focus my questions on whether we are positioned today to meet that standard. Admiral Paparo, I'm going to move over so I can make eye contact with you. Representing JBLM, where First Corps and the Multi-Domain Task Force are directly tied to the Indo-Pacific mission, at an unclassified level, do you believe that U.S. forces today are postured to maintain credible deterrence against China in the near term?
I do believe that we're postured correctly, and but a very important element of that, and this is particular with regard to JBLM, among other locations in the western United States, is the mobility of forces to move, and that mobility is underpinned by air and maritime capability that can rapidly move forces.
All right, and maybe I've answered my follow-up. The top one or two capability areas where additional progress is most needed now.
Well, you know, I've talked about the changing character warfare, and so munitions is counter C5 ISR and munitions is critically important, but sustainment, and sustainment includes the ability to deploy, the ability to phase. That's a key area for improvement, and that is maritime vessels, including Army watercraft. That is cargo aircraft. That's tanker aircraft. Really across the whole spectrum.
Thank you, sir. Now moving on to General Brunson. Roughly 28,500 U.S. service members are stationed in the Republic of Korea, with many serving